In this video, I'm going to show you how to animate a character getting into a car and driving away in Cartoon Animator. So on the screen here, this is Cartoon Animator 5, and this is an example of the animation we're going to be aiming for using assets from Maxim for Art and their cars and drivers pack. So I'll just play this. It's on a loop so you can see a few times exactly what I'm going to be demonstrating. And obviously I haven't put any sound with this, and it's a little bit rough around the edges, but it should get the point across. So there you go, it's just the policeman walking up to the car, opening the door, and then driving away. I'm just going to stop that. Then I'm going to start with a completely new project, except I'm going to keep this background. We're just going to get rid of everything within this part of the project to get started. So I really do recommend Maxim for Art's packs here. This one in particular is good for vehicles. It has 4 vehicles in it. If we just look at them, you can see there's the police car, and you can see the cars all broken up into different sections as well. And we've got the pickup truck all broken up. We've got this box truck here, and then we've got the ambulance, and it also comes with the drivers for each car as well in 3 different views, so it's definitely a good value pack. But to get started, we're going back into the props, and I'm going to get the police car. As I said before, you can see it's got the police car all broken up into parts, and then you've got this one complete police car with all the parts included. So I'm going to bring that out onto the stage, and you can see that's behind my background at the moment. I'm going to get out of record mode and just go into general mode, and if I move this on the Z-axis and bring it forward, you'll see it much clearer. But usually what I like to do to get the scale just right is to move the car near something in the background, like this traffic light. You can see if I put that there, the car is clearly too big, towering over some of the buildings and stuff. We use the Z-axis and push it back until it disappears into the background. Then we just want to bring it forward until we can see the car, until it's just in front of the traffic light. I'm going to be adjusting the scale based on that traffic light. So you can see it's way too big. If you look at the door on this building here, this car is towering well above it, so I'm just going to make it smaller, bring it down so it looks more in line with about where it should be, that door there and the traffic light. I would say that's about there. I'm going to go back into record mode for a minute, bring this over here at about the same point of where it is over here, and then we're going to use the Z-axis to bring it forward until it looks about the right scale for this part of the road. So I would say that looks roughly about right for the road. As I said, this car is all the various parts in one vehicle. If you right click on it, got an action menu, and you can do things like have the car door open, and obviously you can close it again. And it's also got the same animations for the back door, and you can have the lights flash as well. So it's a really good prop to have in your library. I'm going to remove all that animation and make sure we're back on frame 1. And now we're going to go get our actor, is police officer, and I'm just going to use the 315 degree view of him here, put him on the stage. You can see him over here. We want to use the Z-axis to bring him forward to this side of the car. So if you're not aware, moving things on the Z-axis is just clicking and dragging on this arrow at the bottom of things. Yeah, we want him fairly close to the car, so he's preferably only like 1 or 2 points in front of it. So if we look at the car, the Z-axis is 1161 and he's at 1176, so we might change this to 562. Then we want to make sure he's looking about the right scale for the car. He's not too bad there. I might make him a tiny bit shorter. And then we're just going to move him into his starting position, which is around about there. And as you saw in the other animation, he's going to walk up, open the police car door, get inside and drive away. So at its most basic, to make a character get into a vehicle and drive away, it's just simply a case of linking the character to the object. And once they're in the object, you can animate the character as much as you want, but they'll always move with the object once they're linked. So the way I go about animating this is sort of just roughing out my frames. So let's open up the timeline and we'll select this icon here so we only get the object tracks that we've got selected. The first thing that's going to happen is this character is going to walk to the door of the police car. So I'm going to go roughly estimate how long that'll take him. Let's say it takes 2 seconds for him to do that, and its animation goes at around 30 frames a second. So we want to go at frame 60 with the playhead, and then we take our character, and I think holding down the shift key will keep him level. Just slide him along roughly till he's close enough to be able to reach the door handle with his hand. And then at this point, this is when the door is going to open on the car. He's going to open the door. We might go maybe a couple of frames ahead and select the car. Right click on that, do the action menu and do open the door. Now you notice that door opened really slowly and I want it to open much quicker than that. We'll open up the police car's motion track and you'll see it's got in this motion, this open the door motion clip. I want to make that as short as possible, so I'm going to select that motion clip and then we're going to select the speed adjustment here. Grab the end of the motion clip and just when it's on that double arrow, click and drag and bring it as far across until it stops, so it's at the shortest possible speed, so that now when the door actually plays and opens, see it goes as quickly as it can go. And you'll notice our policeman glides in. Once we've got the door open, the character's going to get in and the car's going to drive away. But first I'm going to do this animation to get the character into the car. But to do that we want to start by having the character itself walk to the car. So we're going to go into our template folders and look for a walk action. And I think just go into the free resources to start with and go into the animation pack and we'll just search for a walk. We want a side facing walk that loops around. We've got one here, but you'll notice if I put this one onto my character, he walks all the way past the car, and that's because this is a route-based walking action, which means that it walks from wherever the route of the character is and moves away from the route. But we want one motion clip where the character walks on the spot so that we can take advantage of the transformed track's movement. So I'm going to undo that, go back to frame 0, and we're going to keep looking for a walk that better suits what we want. It might be one of these walks that I use. See this walk side here. Try that one. And this has got bone hand animation data, but our character doesn't have bone hands, so we're just getting this warning. You'll see there that walked quite nicely just between the two transform points in our transform track. It actually wasn't too bad, not too much foot sliding. A little bit if you look at it closely. We get out of here and move in closer to our character. Bring this over here, moving a bit closer so you can see what's going on. So if we just quickly watch his feet moving. See, he's got a little bit of foot sliding there. We could mess around with that and eventually get rid of it, but I'm sort of happy with that just for the purposes of this demonstration. Looks pretty close, so I'm going to go with that. So open up his motion track and go to the end there. There are a couple of frames before he gets to the end there where he's just drifting. So we could get this walking point and just stretch it out with the speed thing, just the extra couple of frames. So that now he's walking all the way to the end. Now we want him to open up the door. And for this one there's no actual motion clip that we can do, so all I'm going to do is completely customize this opening the door thing. So we'll open up what we'll do, we'll get a standing pose just so he's not standing with one leg in the air. Stand, just a regular pose. We'll make sure we're on the end of his walking clip. Default one here might be better. There we go. And so he doesn't just snap into that pose, select it and just drag out the end of the blend slider here a few frames so that when he comes in, He sort of gradually goes into that pose. Now we can work on making him open the door. So we'll open up the 2D motion key editor, and at this point we're going to set a key for the full body so that we don't affect anything that happens before this. So full body selected over here, move this over and just go set key to make sure this entire body is stopped in this position. Then we're going to make his hand reach out just before the door starts to open. Grab his hand and we're just going to move it onto the door handle, like so. Grab his forearm, just bend that a little bit, and we'll bend him down a little so that he looks like he's looking. Maybe bend his neck down as well. So there we go, bending down. And as the door starts opening, I'm going to fully admit I'm doing a bit of a cheat with this door opening. I don't think many people would open a door like this, but it's easier than having the character sort of turn and open the door with his left arm and do all that. I'm sort of taking a bit of a shortcut. So as the door starts to open to about this point, we're going to move his hand up to follow it. Then by this point, I'm imagining that he's just pushing the door open and letting it sort of swing open all by itself. So I'm going to bring his arm up, maybe move his body back a bit and lift his neck up just a bit, so that we've got this motion where he's flinging the door open. Then from there, I might just bring his arm down again. So we'll just quickly have a look. That's what this looks like. It's coming in, flings the door open, and we're on our way. Now we need him to take a few steps so that he's close enough to actually get in the car. And to do that, I'm going to get this walk motion here that we've already got, select it, Control C to copy it, and then move past here where the door's open and he's put his arm down, and we're going to do Control V to paste our walk motion. And again we're going to do this blend motion, stretch it out a little bit. You'll see he starts to take more steps, but you'll notice he's just walking on the spot, so we need him to take maybe 2 or 3 steps forward. There you go, about 1 step, so that's 1, 2, about there. I'm going to just move him by holding the shift key down, slide him across to about here, and see what that looks like. You can see now he's sliding his feet along, which we don't want that to happen. We need to grab this keyframe where he's just holding that position, copy that, bring it over to here and paste it there so that he holds this position and then starts taking some steps forward. To about there, and then I'm just going to break that off at this point by right clicking and selecting break, and we're going to delete the rest of that clip. And now I want him to actually get in the car, and there is an actual stand to sit motion in these animations that you get with the free pack that I use. And here, this one here, stand to sit, and it even sort of extends the legs out a bit like you would be if you were getting into a car. So we'll take the playhead back to the end of our walk cycle, and then we'll apply this motion. You'll see he's kind of in the right spot, but not really. And what we want to do at this point is have him move backwards on the Z-axis a bit, because you'll see he's actually a bit too big to be getting in the car, because he's still close to us, and when he gets into the car he's moving further away. So what we're going to do is, just as he's starting to sit down here, that's where we're going to sort of have him start moving away. So that's about where he's sitting, and I'm going to try, we're going to shrink him down a little and move him so that his butt's actually sitting roughly where the seat is. Just see what that looks like. And you have to think that, like, he's going to be moving so fast, people aren't really going to notice if his feet aren't quite doing the right thing. You just want to generally get the impression that he's sitting in the car. So from there, I'm going to go to the end of this sitting motion, and we're going to position him in exactly the position I want him to be in once he's in the car. Open up the motion key editor. Now we need him to be just a little bit higher, leaning back just a bit more. And we're going to bring both his feet into the car. We need to make sure both his feet are higher than the bottom of the door. So I might just turn them up a bit. And then we want his hands to be on the steering wheel. Head to be looking down. We may need to move him down a bit. So we'll see what that looks like. We might have to make him just a touch smaller getting in as well. Get out of here and we'll go back to transform track where we made him smaller. And by the end of here we want to maybe shrink him down a touch more so he's actually in the car. And there we go. So if we play that through from the start. And he's in the car. In fact, rather than having his hands on the steering wheel, we need him to close the door. So in between there, and getting in. That point. Could be reaching with this arm to actually close the door. We'll just get this hand here, make it look like he's reaching up a bit. And bring this down over to here so it looks like he's kind of closing the door as he's getting in. And now we need to make the car door close. Going to start moving from about this point. We'll do that. Select the car, right click on the action menu and do close the door. You see again the door closes far too slowly, so going to adjust the motion clip for the door, adjust the speed and make it as quick as possible, but hopefully that's fast enough for him to look like he's closing it. So it's moving with his other hand there. Should be right. Now you'll notice he's actually not inside the car, he's sitting next to it. Not what we want. There's two ways you could do this. Like I'm using the complete animated car with all its pieces together. You could have used all the individual pieces, put them together and link them, and he would be able to then sit inside the car properly with the adjusted layers and sit behind things. But I'm doing a little bit of a cheat because I don't need all that. All I need is for him to look like he's behind this actual door. So we're going to go back into the pack and just get this door. Go back to Maxim's pack. It's this one here. Go to props, and we're going to look for the police car's door. Is this door here, and we're going to put that on the stage. Make sure we're on frame 1 before I start moving things around. I'm going to bring the door over and we're going to line up exactly with this police car. In order to do that, select the police car and we see that its actual width and height is 73%. So we want to do that for the door, change those to 73. And I've got the little linked icon selected, so as soon as I hit enter here, the height's going to change as well. And now we want to get the Z-axis for this, which is 1161. So probably want to do this at 1163 because I think we put the policeman at 1162. Do 1163. Just check to see what the policeman's on. Yeah, he's on 1162, so we need this door to be in front of the policeman, so that's why we've done it on the Z-axis with 1163. We're just going to line this door up exactly with the other one. And I'm just going to check this on the record camera, make sure it all looks like it's lining up there. Go back to the web camera. That looks about right. What we're going to do is we're going to make this door, which also has all the same action things on it. So if we go in the action menu, see we've got roll up window, roll down window, and open the door and close the door. It's the exact same animations that the police car itself has. So we're going to go to the police cars track and move to the frame where this door opens, and you'll see the door opens. So we're going to then select this door and we're going to apply open the door from its action menu. And again, that opens far too slowly. Fortunately, we just do the same thing. We select the door on its motion track, select the clip, make sure we're on the speed setting, and drag it down to the shortest possible length. And you'll see now our replacement door matches that exactly. But you'll also notice the policeman's hand is now going behind the door, but that doesn't matter at this point, because what we're going to do is make this particular door invisible until the actual point that we need to see it. So for now, that's fine. I'm going to move along to here, and then we're going to go when he starts to pull the door closed. We're going to take our door here and we're going to apply close the door. Like so. You'll see once that door is closed, he looks like he's inside the car and it's all good. But just like before, it closed far too slowly, so we've got to adjust that clip. Like so, just by selecting on it, grabbing the end and bringing it all the way in, so that now when he closes the door, it all shuts and he's inside the car. So first things first, we need to fix his hand being behind the door up here where he opens it. So in order to do that, we're going to go back to the start of the timeline, making sure we've got our individual door selected, and we're going to make it invisible using this button up here, and now we can't see it, just the original door. So we're going to scroll along. You'll see policeman's hand is now in front of the door, everything's all fine, and it's at this point you can see his hands going in front of the door. We don't want that anymore from here, so at this point we can turn on our individual door just by selecting it. You'll have to do from the scene menu, so I'll select it here. It's selected. We'll turn it back on using the visible invisible thing. Now it's back on, and you'll see now he goes behind that door and closing it, getting in the car, and we're all good to go. Now what we need to do at this point is make sure that our policeman character is linked to the car and our individual door is linked to the car. What happens next is the car is going to drive away. So if we go into record mode so we can see what our frame looks like, and let's say we give him a moment just to start the engine, then we select the police car all along the timeline, open up the police car's transform track, and at this point we want to add a keyframe just here. This is the last time the car's going to be stationary, and if I start moving it now, it will move in relation to the keyframe at the very beginning. We don't want that. I'm just going to double click here and that'll add a keyframe, and we're going to have the car drive away. It's going to take about maybe 2-3 seconds. That's about 90 frames, so we're on 150, so we go 240. So there. You watch what happens when I move the car, holding down the shift key so it stays nice and straight. Move it along, and the car drives off. As you can see, our policeman and his door haven't moved with it. That's not what we want, but fortunately we don't have to undo the car driving away. All we have to do is link the policeman and the door to the car. So we can do that at this point where we just did the keyframe for the car before it starts to move. That's a good place to link both those items. So first off, I'll select the policeman just from the scene menu, so I don't have to try and get him on the stage behind that door. I can just select him in the scene menu. And we're going to hit the link icon up here, click it once, and you'll see the cursor at the moment is a circle with a line through it, indicating that I can't link him to any of this because all of that's locked. But as soon as I put it over the car, you'll see it changes to a target, and there's the blue line around it indicating that I can link him to the car. I'm just going to click on the car anywhere, so long as I've got that cursor showing that's the target. Just click once, and now he's linked to the car. I'm going to do the same thing for the door. So we'll get the door there, and again we'll click the link icon and do the exact same thing. Link the door to the car, and now you'll see if I move the playhead, everything moves all at the same time, and we're good to go. Last thing I'm going to do is, because cars don't just automatically take off at full speed, I'm going to give it a transition curve. We're going to select the car, go back to, we're going to go to the last keyframe here, right click, open up the transition curves, and you'll see we've got accelerate and decelerate. Given that this is a car, it's going to accelerate, and what this will do is make it start out slow and get progressively faster, which is how you would expect a car to take off from a standing position. I'm just going to click on that and we'll get a preview of that happening. So here we go. So it starts out slow and starts to get a bit quicker. And you can actually adjust the strength of that down here if you wanted it to start out really slow and get quicker that way, or if you wanted it to start off spinning its wheels and then just going really quick. It's not a lot of difference between them. I think about somewhere around 76 looked pretty good. It's gradually easing away. And we'll just make this position the end of our animation. So I'm just going to click this end frame icon here, and that moves our little red arrow to make that the end frame. And make sure my looping thing's selected so that we can watch this a few times. Close down the timeline, go back to the start, and we'll just watch the finished animation. There you go. So that's how you make a character get into a car and drive away. Just remember the key point is essentially linking the actor or character to the object that's going to be moving. I can do any animation on that character while he's in the car moving, so if I wanted to, I could stop here, and once he's in the car, let's say move him along at this point, make sure I've got my character selected. We'll open up, say, the face key editor, open up the timeline, and make sure we've got face open here. And I just clicked on default key just to make sure we've got this face in the position that it's in, so that I don't mess up anything that happens before this. And let's say as he's moving away, he just looks over at us, and let him drive off a bit. Maybe put a double click in the head thing here, so we put a keyframe there, and then have him look back the other way again. As you can see, we can still do animation on the character even while the car is linked to the car. There you go, that's how you animate a character getting into a car and driving away. So I just thought I'd quickly show you the other way of putting this car together if you wanted to have a bit more flexibility with having the characters actually be inside the car. What we need to do is start with all the car pieces. So we've got the base shadow, 2 wheels, so put one there. Just duplicate that by holding down the control key. Imagine they would want to go right on the edge. We've got the back of the car. Got the back of the car. Need to put in roughly there. We've got the steering wheel. Imagine goes around about there. Got the side of the car. Want to line up. I'm going to need to all the wheels in the shadow. Line them up a bit better. Need to bring the wheels to the front. One. And then I think we've just got the doors to worry about. Tack door and the front door. Generally, I don't reckon you would use all of these pieces if you were going to have this car moving. This particular setup is better if you're doing a still shot and you want to get close up and inside the car. or something like that, because in order to make this car move now, I have to link every one of those pieces to the car body. So for example, you'll see if I move this car now, select the body and move it 60 frames, hold down the shift key, you'll see nothing comes with the body of the car. All of that needs to be linked to it. So we'd have to go through, start at the top and go link body, get to the wheels, link to the body, wheel, link the body, interior, we'll link the body, steering wheel, link to the body, body frame we don't link to because we're linking everything else to that. So the back door, link to the body, front door, link to the body. You'll see now when the car moves, everything is moving with it. But the advantage of this particular version of the car is if I get one of the actors, get our police guy and put him on the stage and shut down the timeline, and him next to the car, in about the right scale. What you can see now, so I'll put him down as if he's sitting in the car. If I move him backwards, you can see now that that's been moved back. He looks like he's inside the car. That's the advantage of doing it this way, because now he can look more like he's in the car. And you'll see if I do the animation for opening the door. Of course, that's all moving along. He's moving along. Well, the car's moving, so if I link him to the car, do this when it moves. You can see he looks like he's in the car and he's even behind the car frame. I move him around. You can see I can move him anywhere and he looks like he's inside the car. That's the advantage of this way, but it just means you have to make sure everything else is linked to the car before you start moving it around. But I prefer to keep things as easy as possible, and because I could hide him mostly behind the front door, that's why I used the complete car in my demonstration. So I just thought I'd show you that so that you can see the other alternative for what you might do in terms of putting a character inside a car. So I hope you found that demonstration useful. It's really not that difficult to make a character get into any kind of vehicle and move with the vehicle, so long as you understand how to link the character to whatever moving object you want them to follow along with. So with that, I'll leave it there and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.